Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DFS Army Fantasy Football Show. I'm, of course, your host, Flex Shane. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheFlexNetwork1 today. For all you Discordians, we got Garett Thomas on the show. Of course, you can follow Garett on Twitter at Garett Thomas, 1R, 2 T's.
That's right. Yeah.
Actually, it's crazy because there's actually 3 T's.
There is 3
When you rock to Garett Thomas. It's very complicated, but that's okay.
It's not a great email. I have to explain it to a lot of people that there's 3 T's right in the middle and then 1 R, and it's a conundrum. So G-Tom.
There you go.
That's why I should be the Twitter handle, but it's not yet. So.
Hey, listen, you got to rock with it. We got the 1 at the end of our handle, and it's painful. Geek just dogs me all the time. It's like, you couldn't even get the regular Flex Network now. It was someone that don't even use it. It is what it is. This is the world we live in. So thanks for joining. Of course, Brandon isn't here today. Brandon's actually in Twitter jail right now, so he's going to stay off the social medias for a little while. But we're here, of course, to talk about our favorite weekly flex plays for your season-long league. So again, for those of you new to the program, our mantra here is start your studs. Don't get silly. Don't get cute, because more often than not, you're going to get burned. Start your studs. The players that we're talking about here are fringe candidates. For your deeper leagues, maybe you're trying to decide between a wide receiver 3 or one of those flex plays. And we have some good ones for you this week, because it's actually an interesting slate of games. I mean, we're already here. It was week 4. I think you're a data guy, Garett. For those of you who follow, you're always tweeting out interesting stats like most targets within the red zone, within 10 yards, that sort of thing. So it's actionable information on your Twitter. So I like that you're a data guy, because that's the world that I like to play in as well.
Yeah, it does. So
listen. After 3 weeks, again, it's still very small sample, but we're starting to see trends, and we're trying to identify trends.
Yep.
And those are some of the players we're going to go after. So I'm going to plug my nose. I'm going to throw it right to you, Garett. And who is your top flex play of the week for week 4?
My top flex play, man, it's none other than Tyler Lockett. And sadly, I traded this dude in my league this week. But I truly believe in what he has done so far. The game total is 48. It's indoors. That's 2 huge things, right? And 48 is a high total this week. So the Lions give up 34 points, fantasy points per game at a half PPR rate. That's 7th worst. Lockett's rocking a 26% target share, which, I mean, I guess that's not surprising, but the amount of targets he's getting is surprising. And the bigger surprise, I'd say, is Geno Smith, really. He's played super, super well. He's stolen the ball a lot, and I never even thought that was going to be a thing because of how much Pete Carroll just likes to, pound the ground game. And freaking old Pete Carroll, dude, that guy.
It's been painful, man.
Yeah, he's but in that our running back committee is, oh God, it's so bad. But for Lockett, I mean, Smith, he threw 28 passes week 1, 30 last week, and 44 last week. I'm sorry. So 30 the week before last, but 44 last week. That's a huge jump, 30% jump. But on the Detroit side, there's no Amon-Ra, no sun god, as Geek would like to say. Swift's out, and Jared Goff is still Jared Goff. I'm sorry. He's burned me so many times thinking this is going to be it. This is going to be the year. Maybe not the year, but the week for sure. He burned me on. His skill players define him, in my opinion. I think that turnover floor just moved to a solid 1, maybe 1.5 with Goff. I just see Seattle doing better than they would have if, even just ASB was in. I don't think Swift would be the game changer like both obviously are, being out. And I would say this also endorses DK Metcalf. So some of you wondering if Metcalf, should I start him? I doubt people have both. But either one I would start. I have a little more faith in Lockett in PPR formats. But DK is probably going to get more red zone usage. So.
Yeah, I mean, what we like about Seattle is just the fact that even though they're not as, say, high passing as other teams, it's a very consolidated target share. It's DK Metcalf, it's Tyler Lockett, And that's pretty much it. I mean, through 3 weeks, we got DK at 25% target share. We got Tyler Lockett at 26%. That's about 8 to 9 targets each every single week, which that's what we like. And as you kind of noted, like their running back committee has really not been fantastic at all. I mean, last week, I mean, Rashad Penny is still running as the number one guy, but DJ Dallas was getting more carries than Ken Walker. So I feel like they still have an identity crisis.
Yeah.
Because for a running team that doesn't know how to run the ball, it's going to be a problem. So leaning on Tyler Lockett, who continues to be the favorite pass target of that one Geno Smith, I think that's a pretty safe player. And especially for PPR leagues, right? I mean,
especially PPR, full PPR.
Yeah. I mean, when you're banking on the touchdowns, I think DK is definitely going to be the guy in terms of the touchdown usage. But Tyler Lockett, he was the same with Russ. He's such a lock. Okay, I'm gonna get to mine in a sec here, but
I'm gonna go back real quick. I will say, just quickly looking at it, they both have one target in the red zone from the site that I'm looking at. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we keep saying that DK is going to be the red zone guy. I mean, data wise, we don't know that, but I do agree that Metcalf would be the guy. Just bigger body, and Detroit's Detroit.
I mean, the problem is they run when they're in the red zone.
They do,
and so it's
football.
It's low. It's going to be low opportunities in the red zone in general. But I mean, if you think about the guy that they should be going after, it should be DK Metcalf. We got Bradley Roach, who's got a question here. He's saying, will Cordell Patterson play, or should I bench him? What do you think, Garett? It sounds like he's questionable.
Let me pull up the injury report real quick. That gives me a good insight of just practicing but I've got this up now. Cordell,
he did log. I believe he did log a limited.
Yeah, he did progress, and that's always good. I mean, obviously, should I bench him? My first answer is no if he's in, unless you get like a Rappaport or Shefty tweet saying, pitch count, anything like that. That's when I'm maybe fading. But I mean, obviously, it just depends on who you're benching him for. So if you could maybe put that in the chat real quick. But my answer is no, Shane. What about you?
Oh, definitely not. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. That's how I feel.
Absolutely not. I mean, listen. So I don't know if you listen to JJ Zacharyason's podcast at all, but generally speaking, when you're drafting one of these round one running backs, our expected fantasy points per game is between about 16 to 17 fantasy points per game.
Yeah.
So far through 3 weeks, Cordell Patterson is averaging 16.3 fantasy points per game. So he's giving you RB1 usage or value versus where you had to draft him.
Right. No, he is.
If he plays, I don't care if it's a knee issue. If he plays, he's going to get the opportunities. Absolutely, I'm starting Cordell Patterson. Unless, again, it's all about who your choices are. But Cordell Patterson, to me, is a lock every single week in every format so far in fantasy football because it is such a crapshoot, frankly, at the running back position. I got a tough one. I'm going to lob them all up to you, Garett, because you're the pro. Okay. You're the guy who's rocking the Discord. We got Nick asking us, would you start Wilson? So I'm assuming this is Russell Wilson over Jared Goff since his wide receivers are healthy.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be Zach Wilson. It could be Russell Wilson. I would say probably Russell Wilson. I'm starting over Jared Goff. Zach Wilson. I don't think I'm going to go there. I believe he's at Pittsburgh. I might be wrong on that, but I mean, just
for the Jets.
The Jets. It's tough to start that over, even Russell Wilson if he meant Russell Wilson. But I would say Russell Wilson, I would start over Goff, but not Zach Wilson. I'd put Goff over Zach Wilson.
Yeah, Zach Wilson, you're not starting this week. Don't start Zach Wilson this
unless
week.
Unless you're in a 2 league. I don't think I'm starting Zach Wilson.
Even then, I would recommend, like, I'm starting Matt Ryan in the league over Zach Wilson, which is not sexy at all. But I just have so many worries. They're going at Pittsburgh. It's a low over-under. It's 40 points. Mm-hmm. It's going to be messy, man. That one's going to be a plug your nose kind of game. Okay, so Bradley's coming back here. He says he has Leonard Fournette as RB1, Patterson as his 2, and Jamal Williams in the flex. I like that. And then, although he could slide Williams to his RB2 and Drake London to the flex. Who are your wide receivers, Bradley? Because I'm like Drake London at this point is an every week starter. Yeah. Like you're not benching Drake London.
30% target share you don't ever bench ever. So But that's where I'm just like, yeah, I mean, if he's got that, you can make that swap if you feel Cordell is not hobbled, but I wouldn't do it unless it's full PPR. But I mean, if Cordell's in, I think I am going to lean on him myself.
Yeah, so it is Russell Wilson. I mean, the truth of the matter is the Denver Broncos, talking about identity crisis, they also have an identity crisis. They don't know what they want to do. And the problem is like you're seeing the inexperience from Nathaniel Hackett with his play calling, and it's affecting games. It is affecting games. They're kicking when they should be throwing. They're throwing it when they should be kicking.
Not calling time. Did you see that? They ran like 30 seconds off the clock before they called timeout or something.
No, it was brutal.
It was so bad. And like even I think it was Eli Manning said they should have paid the punter, not Russell Wilson. I was like, God, they're buddies. I've seen him on the Manning cast, so it was kind of shocking for him to say that, but he's joking too. So
yeah, listen, we could do an entire podcast on who is Russell Wilson, and just like he's one of the most loved, but also the most hated player in sports right now, I would say, if not the NFL, right? Like, can you think of a more divisive player in the NFL right now, Garrett? I can't.
Oh, I mean, somebody dropped Russell Wilson in my Superflex league, so I mean,
the hate is real. Listen, the fact is though, he does have two very, very competent wide receivers. Is Jerry Jeudy playing this week? I believe he should be.
He is back and ready to go.
Yeah, and then obviously Javonte out of the backfield is just a target machine right now. He's got Melvin Gordon. So the team around him is still very, very solid. The Broncos are going to be able to turn it around, but they need to do it quickly. And it does start this week. Okay, we got Bally coming in hot. Oh, God, Bally. This is just, dude. So Bally's a longtime listener. He comes from us from our previous show.
Mm-hmm.
I play in a few leagues with Bally. Brother.
Welcome over.
Yeah, we got Taysom Hill going up against Pat Freiermuth. I'm still going Pat Freiermuth. The thing about Taysom Hill is just the fact that it's a London game. We know that Jameis Winston is going to be out. It's going to be Andy Dalton. So you're banking on that goal line or that red zone opportunity. What do you think? This one's tough, Bally.
I'm fully in the camp for Freiermuth. He is 6th in targets. He's 5th in target share, 5th in target rate, 8th in snap rate. 16th in routes ran. Has a 75% route participation. To me, Freiermuth is easily the pick. I mean, Kamara's back. He's healthy. I think they're going to rely on him more than Taysom, but you never know. That Taysom turd game could come in and take it from all of us. But I think this one's don't get cute. I think Freiermuth's the easy play, but obviously it might feel gross because Freiermuth and Trubisky isn't world beaters. So
yeah. So I mean, in terms of like DFS plays, the pros over at our parent station, that the main DFS Army channel, go check it out. The Geek's been putting out a ton of content over there. Taxes as well. I mean, they're pumping it out. But to me, like Taysom Hill seems like one of those GPP plays where you lock him into your tight end position. You know, they're probably going to have about 5 or 6 design plays with him under center, and you're going to be banking on 2 touchdowns to really destroy that flex or that slate. Yeah. Bradley's starting. Oh God, Cooper Kupp and Michael Pittman. So yeah, I mean that's a tough. Okay, here's the question. Okay, so this is the real question, Garrett. In the flex spot, are you starting Jamal Williams, Cordell Patterson, or Drake London? That's tough.
That is tough. I mean, you're gonna
pick 2.
Yeah, you're gonna pick 2 there. To me, Williams is in, and to me, I think if it's a full PPR, I think I do go London.
I'm going London. I'm going Patterson in London. You're saying Williams in London? I'm going Patterson in London.
I don't like the correlation in season long, but that's me. So that is that's a good alternative perspective that you are into both of them because they do both carry standalone value, and that's important to bring up when you talk about correlation and season.
That's all I care about, man. That's all I care about.
And that makes
care if they're on the same team.
That's okay. So we do agree to disagree. So that's a good little. We both have our own little flair on that.
There we go. Okay, let's get back into it. My first flex play of the week. It's got to be Chris Olave. It's Chris Olave. We were just talking about the Saints. Michael Thomas is out. He's got the knee issue. And we've all heard it. It's been the buzz of Twitter for like the last 2 to 3 weeks where Chris Olave is just an air yards machine. He leads the league, Garrett, with
He does.
443 air yards,
Let me
147 per game.
I'm gonna hit you with a question a little bit later, but keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. So Winston, of course, he is number 3 in terms of deep targets per game at 6.7. Andy Dalton last year had a modest 2.5 targets or deep targets per game. So you worry about that a little bit. And you bake into the fact that Chris Olave, although he was not known for it in college, his yards after the catch, he's still going to rock that 4.39 speed. I don't know what's up with Alvin Kamara right now. Alvin Kamara just doesn't look like Kamara. It's Chris Olave. It's going to be Chris Olave season. If he wasn't on your radar before, Chris Olave is going to be on that radar. To me, right now, when you look at that rookie report, it's probably between and look, the rookies have been outstanding this season, but to me, it's between Chris Olave and Drake London as the 2 top studs of the rookie class this year. And man, London's calling, baby. I think Chris Olave is going to have a massive game. Andy Dalton's going to rely on him. He's going to get the short targets. He's going to get the deep targets. He's going to get probably 10, 11 targets this game. You go after that. I'm going Chris Olave. I love him. I think he's a lock this week.
Yeah, he's pretty close to a lock. My only question to you, Shane, would be, and this is something I tweeted out, so this is kind of some of the data that I'll point to during the week, but Olave went from the 2022 leading air yards per attempt QB, which is Winston.
Yeah.
He has 11.4 air yards per target. Andy Dalton last year had 7 air yards per target. You're still in 100% confident.
The only way that Olave doesn't pay off this week is if the Saints absolutely lay an egg. Like, that's the only way that they're not going to get.
Especially in PPR, I wouldn't even hesitate either. So, but
what's the status? What's the status on Jarvis Landry?
Let's see. I got their Saints injury report up. Let's see. Landry, DNP, LP. I imagine he's gonna play.
Right. So he's probably gonna play. That's the only thing that worries me in terms of the target share. I mean, you look at here, Landry's at 17%, Michael Thomas is at 20%, Chris Olave, the rookie, Chris Olave is at 26%. I understand
that isn't
different quarterback.
Too.
I'm sorry?
I don't think we mentioned Michael Thomas being out in this analysis.
I didn't know that. I did mention at the start of that.
I'll shut up.
Yeah, no. So Michael Thomas is out. Again, Michael Thomas is out. Okay, the ghost, the corpse, that is Michael Thomas. Who's producing? I was off Michael Thomas this year. I'm not taking the L yet. He's still hurt. He's still old. He's still healthy. Chris Olave, lock. And Jen, thank you for tuning in, Jen. I also played Waddle this week, going up against Matt. That's our guy, Matt. That hurts. That's life, though. Okay, we got another one from Bali. Half PPR. He needs 2.
Okay.
Cam Akers, Kareem Hunt, Curtis Samuel, and Devonta Smith.
So
who's the first one? This is an easy
one. Curtis Samuel's easy in for me. And then Smith probably. But half PPR makes me lean a little bit towards Hunt against Atlanta, but they actually are decent against the run, Atlanta. So that's a toss-up there. But I think I'm going to lean Smith.
I'm going Samuel and Smith too. I'm going Samuel and Smith as well. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. Honestly, this is a good How do you feel about the whole Rams running back situation in general? Last week we saw for the first time Akers got more opportunities than Darrell Henderson. Yeah. I don't like either of these guys. I'm not confident starting either of them because you're going to get it wrong.
That's how it feels because their snap share is pretty similar. And I know somebody got a little upset with me in the Discord last week because I said, Hindi was getting the opportunities, but the snap share was about 55-45, Hindi getting the 55. And then last week we really saw a shift where Akers got more snaps, a little bit more. And then we also saw Akers get way more volume, right, than Hindi. So at this point you're playing variance ping pong. I mean, you guess right. Don't get me wrong. You have 50-50 chance. But yeah, I don't think I'm doing that dance in season long. I'm doing that dance in a GPP tournament in DFS. That's and even then, I'm not doing that in a single entry. I'm doing that like in a multi-entry contest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. It's tough, man. I'm in a half PPR league and I got both those guys on my bench, and I'm not starting either of them.
Yeah, I was in the camp of fading Akers and drafting Henderson, and I got him in 75% of my season-long leagues, redraft leagues, and I was very happy week 1, very happy week 2, and a little bit queasy after seeing the usage. And then week 3 was when I was like, yeah, well, this could be, which is fine because Handy costs nothing to draft, so it's not the end of the world.
Geek and I have a bet where if Allen Robinson finishes wide receiver 23 or better, the Geek wins. If he finishes lower, I win. How are we looking so far?
The thing about A-Rob is they aren't connecting. Like I don't know what the catch rate is right off the top of my head, but I don't think it's pretty. There's something off there. It's gotten better. He's getting red zone looks, which makes me say that he could easily finish over the 27 still. But I mean, he's not connecting well. And then obviously they're running through Cup. And surprisingly, Higbee has been
good.
Yeah. I mean, a target hog for tight end's sake. Last week, not so much. But weird division game. Those division games always get weird. So I think I think it's still 50-50 either way. I'm a lean 51 that he's going to figure out and finish over 27. But I do understand if you're a fader on him. So.
We got Dickinson coming in hot, saying Ben Skoranek is a wide receiver 2 in LA. I agree with you, Mike. I agree with you, brother.
I watched the replay and I'm like, who is this? And then I looked at the targets. I'm like, oh, okay, he's somebody. Like you do have to pay attention to him, and that is more of a deep league sleeper kind of pick. So I'm not gonna say he's wrong because you don't know at this point with A-Rod struggles.
So Mike, of course, is one of my fellow co-hosts, and he likes to get dirty. He likes to get deep. Ben Skoranek. I have him on a few of my dynasty teams because of Mike.
No, in dynasty, he's worth the stash. Yeah, it's great. He's getting looks. He's getting plays called towards his way.
All right. Okay, Kevin, we got a question from Kevin. Kevin, we'll get you in a sec here, but Garrett, let's get back on track here. Give me your second flex play because it's a player we already talked about.
Yeah, and Kevin, I think you're going to like this one because we talked about Olave already, and I think we're about to kind of get to your other guy, Bateman, there. But Bateman's my second flex play of the week. I'm sorry. Actually, let's back this up.
Let's talk about Bateman.
Let's talk about Bateman. You're right. I got one more that I skipped over, but we got Bateman. I like Bateman a lot this week. Over Olave, that could be tough, but I could also see it going either way. But to me, Bateman's he's a play, right? He's got the highest game total on the slate with 51. That could be a little light rain. Monitor this week. We need to monitor weather a lot, guys, in your season-long DFS, anything. So we have a Discord channel for that, dedicated for that. So be sure to be in that, that weather channel. But there could be a little light rain. Light rain doesn't scare me off, especially for someone like Josh Allen. I'm sorry. Lamar Jackson, but there will be points scored this game. I do believe that. And, Bateman's so far, he's not been anybody who's just great as far as just fully confident you can start him every week. But in an up-tempo opportunity, he absolutely is someone I'm confident in starting. He can be touchdown dependent, but game total is 51. That's easily the highest on the slate right now. So there should be no shortage of points there. He's fourth in average depth of target. He has a 19.3% target share, and he's 14th in deep targets. So he does get some fantasy relevant looks and some opportunities. So that's important against, someone like Buffalo who can, shut down players like Mark Andrews, and things of that nature. He has a low floor compared to the 3 top flex plays. He has a higher floor than my deep flex play. But I do argue outside of Lockett, he has the highest ceiling of my group. So I think Olave does have a higher ceiling, Kevin, just to kind of go back to your question. I think I might start Olave over Bateman. What about you, Shane?
I'm starting Olave over Bateman.
Yeah.
No, I am. And it's close. Listen, Bateman, I love.
I do love
I have a ton of Bateman in Dynasty, and I'm starting him in most of my leagues, except for where I'm super deep at wide receiver. But Olave this week, man, I think he's going to smash. I really do. This is going to be, if he hasn't broken out already in the NFL world, this is going to be the week. It's in London. The only thing that scares me, of course, is just that London early game. We've generally seen kind of just honestly trash games in
I
London,
think
but we've gotten a few. We've gotten a few good ones. Sorry, what was that?
I think unders have hit on the London games, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I would generally speaking, you're gonna want to bet the under, but I would say Olave is for the upside. I like Bateman, but he's still. You talk about he's got a high target share, but he's still not getting a ton of targets a game
Right.
when you compare it to Olave, right? And so
Yes.
Olave in a PPR league is probably a safer floor.
Yes.
Bateman, we've seen if the massive plays, but if he was only getting 5-6 targets a week, then it's really hard to pay off. He needs to be hyper efficient. We saw just last week when he's not hyper efficient, he doesn't get the production, and that worries me.
But he did drop I don't know if it was a touchdown pass, but it was like going to be on the 1 or 2 at worst. So I mean, or Lamar just missed him, one of the two. But yeah, he's 5, 7, and 4 respectively target wise week over week.
Okay. The other question he had is Patterson, Jones, or Williams. Is that Aaron Jones? Because if that's Aaron Jones, like you're starting Aaron Jones every single week. You're not questioning it. You're not thinking about it, Kevin.
And this is a week I could smell Jones going off. A real gross game against with no quarterback, some turnovers in short fields.
Yeah, so he says it is Aaron Jones. So you're starting Aaron Jones. So again, the question comes back to Cordell Patterson or Jamal Williams. I chose Patterson. Garett's choosing Jamal Williams. So that one's tight.
It is I'm conflicted either way on that one. But Patterson unhealthy in the past. I don't think he's been great. But Williams without Swift has not been great. He's actually lost points per game. I think it was Dave Kluge who tweeted that. And I think it went from like 11.4 to like 9.3 PPR points average per game for Williams without Swift. So that's a very interesting, really inverse of what the narrative is, which is he's going to do that.
Yep. So if in my season long leagues, depending on obviously on your options, I'm probably going to start Jamal Williams if I have him.
Yeah.
But I would fade him in DFS. That's just me. I know that in some of our other shows that we've suggested eating that chalk. I don't trust it. I don't like it.
We've FanDuel for sure.
Yeah, and first price, exactly. You're not getting that discount. They priced him up for.
I think on both sides they price him up because he's been getting red zone looks. Like he's got standalone value in season long. Like keep him, don't drop him, hold him because he's easily getting tons of goal line carries compared to some of these other guys, and that could be a small sample size in 3 games. Things change, but through this, he's got standalone value, and then in DFS, I think I am in the camp. I'm going to fade him in any tournament GPP I'm playing in.
That sounds good. Okay, we're going to get to one more here, then we'll jump to my next flex play. So we got Harry coming in, asking in a full PPR, he needs to start 2. He's got Hollywood Brown. This one's going to be tough. TMC or Curtis Samuel, Brandon Cooks, or Romeo Doubs. I think I know who I'm going with. Now, so the one thing about Hollywood Brown, he did crop up on the injury report with the foot.
Late
in the week, which worries me. So keep an eye on that. But AJ Green has already been ruled out. My guy, Greg Dortch, baby. Greg Dortch. Playing in the slot, but Hollywood Brown, man, I think he got something like 17 targets last week. If Hollywood is healthy, you're starting Hollywood. I don't care how injured he is. He might not have the explosiveness, but if they're starting him, he's going to get targets, and he might get 17 targets. So you're going to stick with him. To me, I'm going Hollywood, and I'm going Brandon Cooks because Curtis Samuel and TMC, tough to predict. It's gotten to the point where I'm almost starting Curtis Samuel over TMC, which is nasty. Romeo Doubs, I like the fact that he's progressed as Aaron Rodgers' number 1 wide receiver, but Christian Watson could be back this week. I'm still probably going to lean Brandon Cooks. He's just Mr. Reliable. What about you?
Brandon Cooks has been disappointing for me. Davis Mills has been a little bit disappointing. I thought he'd be a little bit better. I was somebody who backed him up at Houston. Thought he could be a real, top 18 guy, right? Nothing in the top 12, but just really show up and compared to his ADP. He's not throwing catchable balls to Cooks. And I actually, when I traded Tyler Lockett to my buddy, he kind of was like, well, I don't see starting Lockett over some of my receivers. And I was able to convince him Lockett was better just in a season-long sense in a full PPR than Cooks has been, than even Mike Williams has been. Mike Williams is missing Allen this week, so he is a good opportunity for that. But, it's just one of those deals where, I think looking at that question, I'm going to go Curtis Samuel and Hollywood. Personally, I absolutely love Curtis Samuel, especially in DFS. He's, like Geek says, a cheat code. He gets so that's how I'm going. So Cooks is I think Cooks week is this week potentially, but he's been just okay this year. He's not been that he's getting consistent targets. That's
Okay.
what matters. But
Brandon Cooks, for those Houston Texans, he's got a 28% target share, which is elite. We talk about anything north of 25 is considered elite. That's 10 targets per game. Now, when you look at his fantasy points per game, he's at 9.6, which is not good. It's not good. But when you look at his expected fantasy points, he's missing out on about 5.5 points. He's expected to get between 14 to 16 fantasy points per week. Now, obviously, again, you go back to the Davis Mills corollary that worries you, but he's still going to be the focal point of the offense. He's still going to be a target machine. And especially in PPR leagues, I am more comfortable starting Brandon Cooks over Curtis Samuel. But honestly, you could start TMC Samuel or Cooks. Those would be in order, I'd go Hollywood's number one, Brandon Cooks, Curtis Samuel, TMC Dubs in that order. You obviously have Samuel above Cooks. I'm cool with that. Rest in peace, Terry McLaurin, because it's sad. It's sad.
And part of it's Curtis Samuel. Like that was, some people were expecting that from Samuel last year, had the groin injury, and then this year it's coming to fruition. So
exactly. Okay, I'm gonna go my next pick here, Peyton. We're gonna get you in a second here, but I think we gotta go with DJ Chark this week. Amon-Ra St. Brown is out.
Yep.
DeAndre Swift is out. Those were two of the highest target leaders on the team. I understand that Chark coming in is only around a 16% target share, but St. Brown was garnering 30% of those targets. Yeah. And while DJ Chark might be considered a fake alpha, right? So he probably does project better as a wide receiver too. Josh Reynolds, who, Peyton, I'm not starting Josh Reynolds over A.J. Dillon. I'm starting A.J. Dillon. They obviously could both produce this week, but to me, when you just look at the talent, I'm going to go DJ Chark over Josh Reynolds. And Garrett, you know, we're going back and forth on just our personal chat, like whether or not DJ Chark is a trap this week. For the same reasons that I worry a little bit about Jamal Williams, I do worry about DJ Chark. There's obviously that Goff factor, which, I mean, listen, they're gonna throw the ball, and the Lions this week are going up against Seattle, and somehow they're actually tied for the second highest over/under on the slate. So Vegas likes something about this game, maybe because both defenses suck.
Yeah, that's
true. I think that's gonna be high scoring, but I think DJ Chark at this point. Listen, I have him on my bench in just one league, and every single week it's a tough decision. Do I want to flex him over, say, like a Chase Claypool type player? And every week it seems like I'm getting it wrong, but I would have confidence this week with DJ Chark. He's going to get probably at least 8 targets this week. You hope that he gets something done. Last week when he stunk it up, I think he got to 0 last week. Goff overthrew him just a little bit, and he was wide open for a touchdown. So that 0 could have been an easy 10, 11 points on a low target share. So he's got that explosive upside. He's got the speed. I think DJ Chark, if you have that tough flex position or flex decision, now in 0.5 PPR, I do like Chark to get in the end zone more than just a pure PPR play. Mm-hmm. So I like him more in, say, a 0.5 PPR league or even the dreaded standard league versus a full PPR. But I mean, it's at the point now, like you say, you've got Keenan Allen, so you've got Amon-Ra. These are tough decisions you have to make.
There's probably people who are missing Allen and Amon-Ra this week. That's a draft, selection you could have made.
Yeah. Okay, so Nick's coming in hot with another trade question. Would you trade James Robinson? Okay, so Nick, these are honestly really, really tough questions about who would you trade James Robinson? I mean, honestly, probably not, because the RB landscape is such a disaster right now. And what RB would you target? So, I mean, this is a really tough question, because you're basically saying, do you want to trade James Robinson, probably pair him with another player to upgrade him to, say, like an Aaron Jones or somebody like that? Yeah, I mean, if you can do that, definitely do it, because I am pro Travis Etienne. I think good days are still ahead for Travis Etienne, which means it's probably going to eat into the James Robinson production. But so far, he looks amazing. Like, James Robinson, my God, congratulations.
It's unfreaking believable. I throughout this offseason, even last year, the narratives, you can't come back from Achilles. And I mean, dude, he looks good when I watch him on replays and stuff. It's just mind blowing.
He looks explosive, and he's one of the reasons that the Jags are doing so well is because they've actually got a good running game, which again, a lot of teams right now can't get their running game going. So James Robinson early in the season, it all depends on who you can get for him. Now, if you are, say, I'm guessing if you have James Robinson, you either got him on the waiver wire or you got him deep, which means you probably have 2 stud running backs or supposed stud
That's
running backs.
To trade him is because how free you kind of got him, probably.
Yeah. And then here's the thing. Teams are out there that are probably hungry for running back. So if you can say trade James Robinson and get a solid wide receiver to return that, like to me, trading a position player for a lateral position player, it doesn't make any sense. You might as well stick with your guy. I tend to be a little bit more risk averse when it comes to doing trades when it seems like an even value. If it looks even, I keep my guy. That's just generally my approach. If you can pair up James Robinson with another player and upgrade to say like an Aaron Jones, yeah, I would do that. But without knowing what your options are, also this is just in general, this is a general statement for trades. Okay. It's really hard for you to say, I want to trade this player without knowing what your league mates are going to do, right? Sure. You need to go, and if you want to trade this player away because you have other assets at the running back position, look at individual teams in your league. If you're in Sleeper, it's really easy to do that, right? Because you can just look up the trade matrix, you can look at all the different teams and look at the teams that are weak at running back. Maybe they're deeper at wide receiver, or maybe you can do, I don't know, like get a reasonable running back in return and upgrade
Kelsey
another position,
something like that. Those guys are way above any tight end right now. Way above.
Yeah. So trades are hard to do in fantasy football. You have to put a little bit of work into it. You have to mind your league, and the deeper the league it is, I would say maybe hang on to James Robinson because the running back position is crappy right now. Yeah. Another hot one here before I give you my next play. Actually, no, you're coming up next. Kyle Pitts or David Njoku. Oh, good Lord. This is the tight end landscape, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, and of course, Njoku, I don't think he did anything until last week. So it's just like
he had a career, not just a good week for the season, a career week last week. The chances that he repeats that is very, very slim.
Yeah, he 10 targets, 9 receptions, so a 90% catch rate, 89 air yards, 23.9 fantasy points.
His best career game ever, Garrett.
Literally ever. Like for the rest
literally ever.
Like I'm not gonna lie. Maybe once Watson comes back, he'll be better.
Yeah. So I don't know. I generally would probably still lean Kyle Pitts here, but honestly, Kyle Pitts has been disappointing. So
he's been bad.
Kyle Pitts is definitively in that 3 for 30. You're banking on the touchdown type play. Now, if you're in a tight end premium type league, Kevin, let us know. Then probably Kyle Pitts I would lean. But David Njoku, man, this one's tough. This one's actually very, very tough. To me, I'm still probably playing Kyle Pitts because there's a reason you drafted him. The talent is there.
That's a 3rd, 4th round pick, probably. That's tough to sit.
Yeah, I know. I get Pitts has been struggling this year. Yeah. David Njoku had one good game.
Pitts has been struggling, but let's just bring this down a notch to he got 7 targets week 1 against New Orleans. It's a good defense, right? He faced the Rams week 2, another good defense. He got 3 targets, 1 red zone. He has Marcus Mariota. That was on the road. Last week against Seattle, not a great defense, right? He got 8 targets, 5 receptions, and he did come out with 13.7 fantasy points, which is probably less than what you drafted him for, but it's just tough to sit Kyle Pitts for David Njoku. That's tough to do.
It takes balls, man.
That's the thing. If you got him, let him hang, man. Let him hang.
Yeah, there you go. So, listen, we don't hate the idea if you want to start David Njoku, but keep in mind that he could also give you 4 points this week.
Yeah,
but Kyle Pitts could also equally give you 4 points this week.
Yeah,
tough decision, brother.
He's got 3.9, 3.9 in the first 2 weeks for Pitts. So
yeah, exactly. All right, brother, give me your 3rd flex play for the week.
We've been talking about him all day, man. Curtis Samuel. He's facing Dallas Cowboys. I think he's a guy who moves around more, so I'm not too worried about say a Diggs being on him, something like that. The Dallas defense getting pressure to Wentz scares me more than anything, personally. So if that happens, that's the way the play blows up. But all that said, Curtis Samuel, it's a 41.5 game total, not great, but he's 11th in the NFL in targets, which a lot of people probably don't know. He's 23.6 target share, which is It's a little low, but they throw the ball a lot. So you can kind of be okay with that. 94% route participation. So he's running routes when he's out there. He's seen double-digit targets in 2 of 3 games. The one game he didn't, he had 9 targets. Then he's gotten groundwork too, right? So you're getting a little what Deebo Samuel light, right? He's got 8 attempts and he's carrying a 6.4 yards per carry. So you get that as well. And he's gotten a few red zone targets. I think it was 3 when I was looking at it. Not a ton, but that's 1 a week. And then he's also gotten a red zone run before. So, I mean, you do have that upside of potentially getting the ball and running it in. I love Curtis Samuel. I freaking love this dude in DFS. I don't get it. People don't play him, and he's almost cheap. Like, he's super, super cheap, and he doesn't need to do
production
pay off. So he's to me, he's a cash game kind of guy that you look for. Cheap and gets a ton of work, and then does get on FanDuel. You want touchdown guys. He's getting looks to get touchdowns too. So I love Curtis Samuel this week. Rest of season, frankly, I don't know if I'm gonna put him over Terry McLaurin yet, but it's feeling that way, I would say.
Yeah, when you look at just the general chemistry, it's Curtis Samuel over TMC. Unfortunately, I mean, you talked about it's only 23% target share, but that's still 10 targets a game because the Commanders are throwing it so often. Yeah, and then you add on 3 or 4 rush attempts per every single game. He's one of the things we like to look at is actual fantasy points versus expected. Mm-hmm. And Curtis Samuel is close to the league at 18.4 fantasy points per game. That's actually right on his expected fantasy points, meaning that based on his usage, he's scoring how he should. So he's not tight end dependent, or he's not touchdown dependent. As long as they continue to use him, which there's no reason why they wouldn't, it's working. Then yes. Now the one thing I'm very curious about. Mm-hmm. Brian Robinson. He's missed the first month. He's probably going to miss a few more weeks. When he comes back and it's Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, and Brian Robinson in that backfield, I wonder what the Curtis Samuel usage is going to be. Is he going to continue to get those 3 or 4 rush attempts per week? I mean, I would probably say yes, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, right now, Curtis Samuel, if you have him on your team, he's pretty much a locked and loaded starter every single week. Like, I'm not benching Curtis Samuel.
I mean, unless obviously, somebody's a clear tier above, but yeah, I'm with you. I think I have this little AI that'll kind of tell me, based on consensus rankings, where my lineups are at. Should I start somebody else over the other person? Yep. And pretty much every lineup, the consensus rankings have DJ Moore. I think 50% DJ Moore in my season long redraft. So all those.
I'm sorry, Garett. I'm sorry.
I appreciate that. But all of them are saying Curtis Samuel is not the start. DJ Moore is. I'm just like, guys, come on, like, what are we doing? Like,
yeah,
that is Curtis Samuel definitely over DJ Moore, something like that for sure. You're not sitting him for a DJ Moore. At this point, if you haven't dropped Mooney, I'm not sitting him for that. Nothing like that.
Did you? No, Darnell Mooney, you can't start him until you see it at least twice. Did you see that interview of DJ Moore this week when they were asking about like, why aren't you as productive this year? I mean, he was basically saying that Baker Mayfield isn't an NFL quarterback or isn't willing to throw into NFL windows.
Which is true.
Get it, which is a fact. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's DJ Moore. He's a wide receiver 3.
In the NFL, man, how are you going to tell your receivers to get open, right? Like, that's like telling a pitcher to go throw strikes. Like, go fuck yourself. And we figured this out on our own. Like, even a half-yard separation in the NFL, that's enough. And Baker can't make that throw. And that's fine. That is who he is. And, Matt Rule had his third, second-string quarterback as a starter. So, I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. All right. Bronco Plays. Would you trade James Conner and Cordell Patterson for Sutton and Fournette in a standard league? I'm probably not doing this.
James Conner and Cordell Patterson
for Cortland. Yeah, so it's on the screen there. James Conner, Cordell Patterson for Cortland Sutton and Leonard Fournette in a standard league. If this was PPR, I would definitely consider it. In a standard league, I'm not doing it.
I mean, the Denver Broncos can't get the ball in the end zone. I mean, if it does, a lot of time it goes to Sutton or one of the running backs, but Conner's a focal point. Like, no problem. Yep. He has some injury issues, but when he's playing, he's getting looks and he's getting touches. And I think Kingsbury said he wants to involve him more. Patterson, we already had that conversation. I'm not going to rehash that. Fournette, I like both Sutton and Fournette. For standard leagues, I'm sticking with Connor and Patterson.
Yeah, I mean, it also comes down to just that the fact that in standard leagues, running backs are more valuable than they are in PPR leagues, right? Just because there's more options at wide receiver, and you got to stick with those guys. Those guys are end zone. You're going for touchdowns in your standard league, and Connor and Patterson are both high candidates for touchdowns. Obviously, we love Leonard Fournette; he's a stud. But we talked about earlier in the show, if it's an even trade, I'm sticking with my guys. This is an even trade. It's a fair trade. I could see why you would want to do it, but I'm not confident starting Courtland Sutton every single week, just because there's a lot of variance there. So I'm sticking with my guys. We got a quick one from Jen. Jen. Start your studs. Okay, so we're starting Mike Evans over Chris Olave. I'm sorry. I know you started Jalen Waddle. I'm sorry, you're starting Mike Evans. Starting Mike Evans.
My pops wanted to drop Mike Evans this week. And he's one of those family league guys, doesn't do too much anything like that, and that's not to speak to Jen or anything like that. But I mean, I'm only saying this because Mike Evans, the hate's kind of real, and that's unfortunately who you drafted with Mike Evans. You're going to get a boom bust. In a PPR, he's got a floor, but outside of full PPR, I mean, he can boom bust pretty much every week. So.
The thing is Mike Evans missed last week because of the suspension. He didn't miss it because of an injury.
That's correct.
And Chris Godwin's still hurt. He's not playing.
He could. He might, but I don't think so.
I doubt it. Mike Evans is the guy.
I picked him up. So
I'm sorry, what was that?
Somebody dropped Godwin in my league, and I picked him up for. I had to drop Lazard for him, which hurt, but easy swap.
Screw Lazard, man. Screw Lazard. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna hammer out a few buttons because we're already at the 46 mark. So I'm gonna hammer a few players that I like here. Okay. My next flex play was going to be Ramondre Stevenson, the Patriots going up against Green Bay.
Yeah, it's tough, but I like that.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be tough. This is more of a deeper type play, but Ramondre Stevenson. Yeah. I tweeted this out yesterday. This is kind of shocking to me. He actually leads the league in evaded tackles with 36. And he's second.
He took over the Ty Montgomery role too. So I mean, like. You got that going, like you said, and he's getting passing looks. He's getting more snap shares than Damian Harris. Like, the switches could be happening easily, but I think Harris will vulture.
You think? Well, I mean, look, it's still pretty even opportunity share for both those players, but we did see Stevenson take 62% last week, actually last 2 weeks, so he is still getting the majority of the shares. He's going to be the PPR guy. Harris is still catching some balls, but with Brian Hoyer, I could see them getting back to the basics. Jacoby Myers was injured last week. It sounds like he's going to play this week. That wide receiver core is, I mean, if you start Devontae Parker this week, he's probably not going to do anything. It's going to be a Nelson Aguilar week. That's going to be tough to predict. But we do know that the Patriots are going to want to run the ball. They're going to want to establish the run. The one thing that worries me is that we saw, even just last week, where Tampa and Green Bay just had an absolute, what was 11-10 type game. Like, it was just disgusting.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that worries me a little bit, but I like Ramondre Stevenson, the flex. A few other notable players. I mean, you're chalk starters. I mean, you're going to be starting Khalil Herbert against the Giants. That's going to be chalk. Jamal Williams, we've talked about him a lot in the show today. It depends on who you've got, but Jamal Williams, probably still a safe bet in a flex play. Going down to the wide receivers, Romeo Doubs. He seems to be Aaron Rodgers' favorite guy. Sammy Watkins is on IR. Romeo Doubs was a really hot waiver wire target this week. If you have him, chances are you're probably going to want to play him in your flex. Matt Collins going up against Denver. He's a stud. 6'4", 211 pounds. He's just beasting out.
Man.
I know Hunter Renfro's out again with the concussion. So I like him this week. My boy Greg Dortch every single week until
PPR.
Otherwise, I'm talking about Greg Dortch on this show. He's a PPR machine. The thing I like about Dortch the most is that he's getting the targets. He's playing 81% of his snaps. 81% of his snaps out of the slot. And Kyler Murray's throwing a 96% true completion rate, getting the ball to Dortch. So
he's not playing. He's good
chemistry. And even if Rondell Moore does play this week, he's questionable to play. Hollywood Brown also has a foot. Yeah. Dortch is the most reliable target on that team right now. He's going to get tons of looks. And the guy that we both talked about at the start of the show, Zay Jones, going up against the Eagles. Those Jaguars are for real. Zay Jones is the definitive number 2 wide receiver in that team. Great flex play this week. Anybody that we didn't talk about, Garrett, that kind of jumps out to you that you think that is worth mentioning for the people?
Yeah, the only deep guy that I have left that we haven't talked about is Josh Palmer for the Chargers. That game has a 45.5 over-under, which is solid for this week. It's indoors, which could play a big factor this week with the rain. Don't know that for sure. But I love the Chargers this week against Houston. I think people are overvaluing Houston a little bit. They've been better, and I think really, I think on the DFS Army side, we've kind of preached that they would be better, but not great. And, Palmer's seen 17 targets over the last 2 weeks that Keenan Allen has missed. That's 18% target share for the year. And, week 1, he wasn't considered, wide receiver 1 or 2 in terms of just in that pecking order and for the Chargers. He's gotten red zone looks. Hadn't done a ton with it. He did score a touchdown, I think, in week 2. That was against Kansas City. And then, frankly, do I play Herbert? Like everybody was asking me that last week. I wrote that and it didn't end well, but I do think Herbert's healthy enough to do enough. I think this week he's fully healthy and it should be low risk to re-injury. So I believe in his QB too. So, I think Josh Palmer's a great deep guy that you can find off waiver wires potentially, especially since Allen was supposed to be back. Or at least that was kind of the projection that he missed, wound up missing. So,
man, Keenan Allen, you just hope he gets healthy, but this could be the beginning of the end.
It's
Keenan Allen.
Yeah, age is up there, and I remember all the Reddit bros were dogging me when I had him top 12 because of age. And I mean, frankly, so then their thing was, well, Mike Williams is going to be top 10, and how's that working out for you? It's not.
Yeah.
It's a good week, and he probably will have a good week this week. That's a DFS guy I'm interested in with Allen out because he's priced right.
One last guy I want to talk about, just very, very quickly. Richie James.
Yeah.
The Giants. Now, this one's going to be nasty because they're going up against the Bears. It's, I believe, if not one of the lowest at 38.5 points over under. The Giants are favored at 21 points, but the big thing here is that Richie James predominantly plays out of the slot. Sterling Shepard's done for the season with the Achilles, which sucks. It was like the last play of the game, Sterling Shepard towards Achilles, so that really does suck. But through 6 games, he's actually accounted for 20% target share, which is shocking. And they don't have any Kadarius Toney. Wan'Dale Robinson's out. Sterling Shepard is going to be out for the season. It's going to be Barkley. It's going to be Richie James. I could see him getting at least 10, 11 targets this week.
Yeah,
deep. He's probably on your waiver wire.
Probably.
So go get him up for free if you need that. We're talking deep.
That's
deep. But we play in some maniacal leagues though. Some maniacal leagues.
Sometimes
you got to get dirty.
About a 30-team league or something.
Ugh.
Weird. And I was like,
yeah, those are usually those ones are like the player. There's like duplicate players, so there's 2 crucial lobbies.
They just did IDPs.
Oh wow, that's just disgusting.
Like, that is gross. Shit. One IDP, baby, but
oh man.
One fun fact for you: Kenny Galladay, right? You think that guy would be more involved, right? That's a $21 million cap hit for the Giants. Richie James, clearly somebody I would start over Kenny Galladay. I wouldn't even consider Kenny Galladay.
Yeah.
Outside of like a silly for the millie, as the geek would say. But Richie James getting $1 million, and he will see more targets and everything like that. Projection wise, he will see more targets than Galladay. And that is unbelievable how much they wasted in Kenny Galladay. And frankly, Kenny Galladay dropping off a cliff like he has been a wild case study. So
yeah, listen, it's an meritocracy there. And Brian Dable, he's going to play the best players. And if Kenny Galladay is not doing that, although in his opinion, 2 weeks ago he did, but he had a couple drops last week even.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah. It's just rough, right? So, I mean, he's not producing when he should be producing. He's not getting downfield. Kenny Galladay, what he did well was he got those 50-50 balls, deep targets. He's not getting any of those. He can't separate. So if he's not getting 50-50 balls and he can't separate, you're not going to have a job in the NFL for very, very long. So that's it. It's filthy. It's nasty. But Richie James this week, man.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe a sexy little play in your DFS.
I think it's sneaky. I do like that as a DFS GPP tourney play. So
there you go. So that's it. It's our flex space for the week. Hopefully we helped you out. Thank you for joining and asking all your start sit questions. That's why we're here. We're here for the people. We love interacting with you guys. So thank you for joining us. Of course, you can follow Garett. Garett, I think we're going to have to get you on the show a little bit more often because you're the dog getting dirty, answering all those tough start sit questions, which honestly, it's probably one of the hardest things that we do, right? Because so many of these things are coin flips, and we're probably going to get a lot of them wrong. But as long as we get more of them right than we do wrong, then we're doing our job, and we love it. So go to dfsarmy.com. If you guys aren't VIP members yet, go get a VIP membership. There's so much content out there.
Yeah.
Especially for DFS, and just go follow the DFS handle at DFS Army. Every single week, people are tweeting at us. They're rocking their helmets in the DFS contest, and they're winning real money every single week. So go get a VIP membership. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Go to our mother channel if you want all the DFS content. We've got betting shows. We have DFS shows. There's so much content. And guess what? There's also a lot of free content that both you and I write up on the channel.
We do.
DFSarmy.com. Come hit us up in the Discord. Thanks for watching. So for Garrett, I'm Flex Shane. We are the DFS Army Fantasy Football Show. Good luck.